Hey everybody, welcome to the TBC Direct,
Your
April
live,
30th.
your live Nintendo fandom.
I
Woohoo!
Woo!
wasn't expecting that, Simeon. Way to slip the motto in there.
Better believe it. I'm getting used to it now.
Good. All right. Well, we're going to get into some discussion today about everything that Nintendo announced recently during this week. All the NX stuff, the Zelda Wii U and NX things, and E3, and then also what this means for the Wii U. So, I'm excited because normally when this much news drops, we have to spend a whole week of two-button crew shows talking about each thing individually. But we're just gonna hit it out of the park right on the weekend. I think that's pretty cool.
Better believe it.
Makes it nice and easy.
It does. Um, let's see, Ryan. While I get the discussion started, would you mind tweeting that we're live and then maybe also a Facebook post?
Yep, I can do that.
Okay, because we want to get as many viewers in here as possible so we can chat with you guys, answer your questions. It's going to be good. So I got this email from Nintendo. What was it, like Thursday morning? I believe, yeah, at like 5 a.m. And I just forwarded it to you guys. Um, and then later on in the morning, I had to read it again because I didn't know how much of it I was like half asleep for.
Hallucinating.
Yes, how much of it was real? What were your first impressions of getting all this news at once out of the blue randoms? And
Um, I was a little bit surprised that they were announcing all this stuff now, especially like talking about their E3 plans, what all they had planned. So I was a little surprised, but I think mostly I was like, I don't know. I guess that was like my only reaction because the other stuff, it just seemed like another email that Nintendo would send out with information. But it was
yeah,
pretty chock full of information. And yeah, I guess that was my initial reaction was just kind of, wow, they're coming out and being pretty straightforward about E3.
yeah. And when you said they talked about everything they had planned for E3, you kind of mean they talked about everything they don't have planned for E3.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah. And it's interesting because Nintendo's booth at E3 this year is actually enormous, like probably the biggest it's ever been. And I've heard a lot of gaming outlets are very excited to see what they do Zelda theming it because they say it's going to be like a mini Zelda Disneyland. Because Nintendo always dresses up their booth and like has these interactive photo opportunities or interactive just places you go to play the game. Like with Star Fox, you sat in an R-wing, so who knows? Maybe you'll sit on a live horse named Epona and hand you
I
the
think that would have some problems with it.
Oh, live horse.
So let's get into our first topic, and
Let's.
we're going to dissect all of these. So we're going to talk about the Zelda delay. It was announced that Zelda Wii U is no longer coming in 2016. It's going to be a March 2017 title, and it's also coming to Wii U and NX.
Hmm.
What do you guys think?
Ryan, you go ahead and go first.
Well, okay, I just finished tweeting, so I can. Um,
Thank you.
yeah. I think the NX delay until March is probably a better move on their part. Get it out of the holiday season. It's going to be better for supply and demand reasons at least, because I know they had like the huge issue when the Wii launched. As far as it not being at E3, I think they're going to do like their own separate, like big announcement sort of thing. Maybe even have uh, press over to Nintendo or a venue that they rent out and just give them like an all-inclusive experience. Because it's since it's rumored that Sony is going to have on like the add-on for the PS4 and Microsoft might be doing something like that for the Xbox. This way they get their own fanfare instead of it being kind of lost in the jumble with everybody else's launches.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do you think they thought that they might lose E3 compared to these other consoles that are going to be announced, and decided they didn't want to be the loser because every year fans kind of determine who had the best showing.
Right.
So right
Yeah.
now they really lowered expectations.
Right. I think this is kind of them, yeah, lowering people's expectations so that way when we get to E3, people aren't horribly disappointed. Because if they didn't say all of this stuff now, if it got to E3 time and then all of a sudden the NX wasn't there, people would be like, what is going on?
Yeah, I think so. I think whatever direct they end up doing, we would have been waiting. Like, there's only 10 minutes left. Here it comes. There's
Right.
only 5 minutes left. Let's see the NX.
Where I
Yeah.
definitely don't think in the direct they're gonna show off other games and whatnot, but I mean I guess Zelda's the only playable one at E3, which I still think is absurd because if Metroid Prime Federation Force that got delayed until August, so why wouldn't that be playable? It's
Yeah.
that I don't know.
So
And
let's talk specifically about Zelda being delayed. This was a game we learned about in 2014. It's supposed to be a 2015 title. You remember when Miyamoto and Aonuma were showing Zelda at the Game Awards and talking about, oh, Star Fox is going to come out first, but Zelda is still going to be out by the end of the year and stuff. Then it got pushed to a 2016 title, and now we're not getting it for the rest of the year. What do you think caused Zelda to be delayed again?
The NX.
Yeah.
well, I was gonna say, hopefully it's because of how gigantic in scope the game is going to be. But like as each time passes, I am getting like a little bit less hopeful on the scope of the game because like when they first announced it, it was like so ridiculous. Like they're like one dungeon is gonna take like 5 days to get through, and it's gonna be huge and all this stuff. And I was like, oh golly, that's gonna be really cool. And then it's like with all these delays and stuff, or that video of them, see that mountain over there, you can go to it. And it's
Yes.
like, is that really going to be the case? Is that why it's getting delayed? Because it's so huge? But I don't know. I really don't know. It's probably a mixture of things. Probably just getting things worked out, and also just getting that cross-platform stuff in, because I mean it's been delayed so long that they have to release it both on NX and on Wii U, and
Yeah.
making something for two platforms I know can be a big pain, especially nowadays. So I'm guessing that that's probably what a good percentage of the delay is making it compatible for both systems.
Yeah. I
But
don't
hopefully
think
it's because
Nintendo.
it's so gigantic.
Hopefully. I don't think Nintendo should have ever really shot for 2015.
No.
They've always been kind of unrealistic with how quickly they can make a Zelda game. It always takes longer.
And Smash Bros.
Yep, that's very true. But 2016 was the 30th anniversary of Zelda. That should have, I think, been their target all along. And I think it's very, very sad that they've missed that. And I don't think they wanted to miss 2016 at all. Missing the celebration of the anniversary. So yeah, I think you're right. Like circumstance, I think the Wii U has failed a lot harder than they thought it would. When starting to develop Zelda Wii U, and I think after spending years and years in the development of this game with such a huge scope, I think they're like, well, there's only 10 million Wii U owners. That's not enough. That's not even a big enough market to justify this game that we've developed. So we have to go to another install base and create another.
Especially if it's a launch game for a new console, because that's a console seller too, so it'll help both ways.
Yeah. And we don't have specific information in March concerning the release date of Zelda Wii U or Zelda NX or the NX itself. It could be that NX and Zelda NX launch actually first in March, and then Zelda Wii U comes out a little bit later.
But that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, because we saw Twilight Princess, the Wii version, came out 1 month earlier. So we know that these versions will both be in the same month. if everything goes as planned. Um, but I would probably put out the NX version first.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And then 10 years ago, when it was Twilight Princess, I bought the Wii version because you definitely want a Zelda game to play on your new console.
Right.
Yeah. I'm of the opinion that Nintendo should just try as hard as they can to shift the Zelda development cycle to where they're automatically creating a game for the first console. Because it seems like they always start their development at like console launch, and they come in with their new game right at the end of the life cycle, and they
Yeah.
are always forced to
Hmm.
consider, should we put this on the new one? Um, yeah, that timeline needs to be shifted, I think.
That's true, because Skyward Sword came like right near the end of the Wii, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, but fortunately that game wasn't in a bad spot because the Wii install base was the biggest one they've ever
Right.
had.
Right.
So they didn't need to worry about, should we put this on Wii U.
Right. But then the Wii U came in and didn't have like any launch games hardly, so.
Nope. All right. Well, we might come back to a little bit of Zelda discussion, but let's talk about some apps. First of
Yes.
all, are you guys still playing Mitomo at all?
I am a little bit. I've been slacking a little bit, but every once in a while I'll be like, oh yeah, I still have that on my phone, and I'll go back to it. And I do enjoy myself when I do, but I don't know. I'm not as much into it as I was, but I don't think that's any fault of the app. That's probably mostly my fault.
Hmm.
Personally, I boot it up pretty much every day just to I listen to 10 people's answers, I give my 3 questions, and then I change my Mii's outfit just so I can get all my Nintendo points that I can get myself. So,
Yeah. For me, I try to always collect the daily bonus. I don't think I've missed one. I do change my outfit, which I don't know how much 5 coins is actually worth, but we'll see. And then I haven't been doing the questions and answers as much. It is still fun when I do it. But personally, I just wish that the Mitomo app was a little bit faster.
Yeah.
I think I would use
yeah.
it more if there weren't so many loading screens. And it doesn't multitask properly either. Like if I have to go check another app real quick and come back, it has to load all over again.
Yeah.
Or most apps don't do that. So I think just a few adjustments would make that experience a lot smoother. So Nintendo's working on 2 new apps that are both supposed to launch in the fall. Now, remember, Mitomo was delayed as well, so we have to kind of take all of this with a grain of salt and understand Nintendo's history. Hello, Spider-Man Max 123. But they're gonna develop Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing for iOS and Android. So let's talk about Fire Emblem. Ryan, I believe you're both our biggest Fire Emblem fan and our biggest Animal Crossing fan, so I imagine these announcements were pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with these. I For Fire Emblem, I can see them doing some sort of like a few maps just to kind of get people introduced to Fire Emblem that might not have been into the series before. Uh, as far as Animal Crossing goes, they'll probably have some sort of mini games or whatnot that you can earn like a small amount of bells that you can transfer over to your actual Animal Crossing game.
That's a good idea.
Because then you're actually like progressing towards the your actual game there.
Yeah, I'm excited to try Fire Emblem because I haven't gotten very much into the main games, and I think
Mhm.
they'll probably do a good job of making it a lot more accessible, and it might make me more interested in the series. And then Animal Crossing is probably just the best possible fit of any Nintendo property to go to phones. I'm really excited for that. Um, and I think that Animal Crossing really could have been what Mitomo was supposed to be in the first place. Like if you think
Hmm.
about Animal Crossing, hopefully, I don't know if it'll just be mini games like you said, Ryan, or if they'll have like a smaller town or village. Or my idea was kind of an island, like there was on the GameCube that you
That
can
would
go
work really
to
well, actually.
with connecting a Game Boy Advance, because they said this would talk back and forth with the main Animal Crossing game and and interact with it. So hopefully you'll be able to add friends and like go to their villages and stuff. And I think if you just added those conversation starter questions to Animal Crossing, it could kind of kill both stones with one bird, or birds with one stone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. One of
What,
them is the same.
what do you think about the apps, I mean?
I was I think I was pretty excited, especially for the Fire Emblem app. I never really got into the Animal Crossing stuff. I've played a little bit of Fire Emblem, and I've always kind of been looking for that in. That's kind of a weird thing for me to say because usually I'm not for the more casual games, but Fire Emblem is one of those things that really does have a tough accessibility thing with
Yeah.
the permadeath, at least with the earlier releases, and it's something that kind of pushed me away. But I'm really excited for this because it might get me more into it, more into the lore and stuff. And I think you're right that the Animal Crossing app is just completely fitted for this. I guess to me, when I look at these things, I almost I understand, but I get kind of sad because I look at this and say, "Oh, a Fire Emblem app. They just released a Fire Emblem game. Oh, an
Mhm.
Animal Crossing app. They just released 2 Animal Crossing games."
Yeah, but they were terrible.
They don't count.
True, but it's like I don't know. I'm looking at it and I'm just kind of sad because it's like you said that the Animal Crossing was probably the most fitted toward this, and I would say it's one of the most fitted toward this, but I just think that WarioWare is the most,
Ooh.
like, that would be like the most fitted to an app possible. And we haven't seen a WarioWare release, not that I'm a huge fan of the series, but I just think that's perfect, and I think that there's so many other franchises that as a fan I'd like to see, but I understand that this is what's hot now and what they've been doing. So I understand as a business decision that they had to do stuff with these franchises, but it just kind of makes me sad that it had to be a business decision. So I'm excited, especially for the Fire Emblem app, but the Animal Crossing app, I don't know if that's going to be something that I get into or not.
Yeah.
The only problem I really see with like the WarioWare one is Nintendo. It seems like the games that they're making for the apps, they want to make it that they're actually connected with some sort of other game that they're releasing. Whereas I don't know how necessarily you would make a WarioWare game that connects to the actual game, because then
That is true.
you're gonna kind of have to force people to have a smartphone at that point.
That's true.
As fun as it would be, I highly agree with you. It would be awesome if they made a WarioWare game.
I think that just the fact that WarioWare Touched is a prize that you can redeem in My Nintendo bodes well for WarioWare. At least Nintendo might be testing how much interest there is, seeing how many people actually redeem that. At the very least, the fact that WarioWare is redeemable means that Nintendo has been reminded one way or another that WarioWare exists, and then hopefully, the amount of redemptions on that prize will show that people are still really interested. I know that I want that one for sure, as well as Zelda Picross. I want both.
Yep.
Yep.
Like
Simeon,
what?
you keep getting disappointed that Nintendo is making business decisions,
Yep.
but they are business.
I know. I know. See, well, I think that helps me though, like because like as a kid, if I would have seen this stuff, I would have been like, what gives? This is stupid. But
Yeah.
like the inner fan in me is still there saying, make the games that I want you to make, obviously. But there's that understanding there of, okay, yeah, they're a business and they have to make stuff that's smart business decisions. And I see that, and it I understand, but it nonetheless makes me sad that the business part is driving them more than just about ever. Understanding that the Wii U is a failure and they have to do that now, but it just makes me kind of sad that um, that seems to be their motivation for a lot of things recently.
I think they're definitely going more business side for the mobile side as well, though, because they're just trying to push people over to getting into their games and consoles and
Yeah,
all that good stuff.
absolutely.
What you said with the Animal Crossing app, Scott, having an island, I think that would be a really good idea because if you could just go fishing and do like some of the normal stuff, but in like a little bite-sized area, that would work really, really well and kind of give people that aren't familiar with the series, give them a little taste of it.
See you, Spider-Man Max 123. Thanks for joining us. And just a reminder to anybody watching, feel free to submit questions. We'll bring them into the direct. Yeah, I do like the idea of the island as well. It could be like tropical stuff that you can only get there. You can bring it back to your game, your main game, and maybe sell it for more. Like coconuts, you get 500 bells or something, right? And maybe you can only catch certain fish around the island. That'd be cool. Plus, I just miss the days of being sung to by Cap'n. You know.
Yep. Well,
So,
they do have the island in the. They did bring that back in the 3DS version,
mm.
and that one's fun. And
Well,
actually, they added mini games and whatnot to the island too. So my mini game idea, they could still incorporate and have all that stuff on the island as well.
yeah, that's awesome. And I probably wasn't aware of that because I haven't played a main Animal Crossing game in a while.
Ah.
But I know that I could get back into it if it was on phones because Animal Crossing is made 15 minutes a day, give or take a little bit, after you're kind of in the swing of things. So that would be really fun. Speaking
Yep.
of business decisions, speaking of business decisions, did you hear that Nintendo sold the Mariners?
I did see that.
What?
Well, they're
Hey,
still
Joe.
they're still part owners. They're just not the main owner anymore.
What? Who'd they sell to?
They just put their shares up for sale, I think.
No, they sold it to another like someone that owned part shares at that point.
Hmm.
They sold it to that person because they've been interested in it a while, and they said they trust the person and they're planning on keeping the Mariners in Seattle.
Okay,
Because
cool.
that was their main reason for holding on to them for so long is they were thinking about moving the Mariners out of Seattle. So then Nintendo of America originally just bought them to keep them in Seattle.
Okay. I I find that funny because the Mariners haven't done squat for so many years.
And now they're probably going to do really good. Watch.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like I don't. They bought the Mariners, and then they came out with their own like Ken Griffey Jr. game, and had like the sequel and whatnot to that. But then they didn't do anything with it since then. It's like you own an MLB team. Like, why are you not doing more with this?
It's because they
Oh,
stink.
Yeah, uh, you know,
Oh, poor Mariners. I miss when the Mariners were good, like 15 years ago.
back in the mid '90s.
Yeah. Hey, they still have, as far as I know, I haven't kept up with baseball much, but as far as I know, they still are tied with the record for most amount of wins in a season. So, hey,
Okay,
you mean back when the Mariners were good and there would be a lot of this going on?
a lot of what?
a lot of what?
Pulling up the sleeve, you know?
Oh yeah, the
Uh,
Ichiro. Yeah, now Ichiro isn't even in Seattle anymore. He's
yeah,
in New York.
him, Ken Griffey Jr. Man, all those guys.
Yeah.
All right, we have a few chat shout-outs. We've got Glenn watching live, Glenn Strom, Joshua Andrews, and then Mr. B, my old programming teacher. Just reconnected with him last night, and I got to come and speak about game development to his group of young programmers. So,
That's awesome.
Nice.
yeah. So it's good to see all you guys watching live. Feel free to submit any questions. We've talked a little bit about the Zelda delay, how it's coming to Wii U and NX. We've talked about the Fire Emblem and the Animal Crossing app. So let's talk about NX specifically. NX, Nintendo's next console, or portable, we still don't actually know, is coming out in March 2017. And the new president of Nintendo made a statement saying that it's not the successor to the Wii U or the 3DS, it's a new concept. Um,
Yay.
yeah, I think that's a little bit of, you open to interpretation the way he worded it because it comes after the Wii U and it comes after the 3DS, so it is a successor. But maybe not directly. Maybe he's saying it's not in the DS family, it's not in the Wii family. That would be good news.
Yes.
Hopefully, it'll have its own brand new branding, which probably makes sense because this is definitely a time of a lot of change for Nintendo, from just how they do things to management, obviously, with a new president. And after the Wii U's relative failure, it would be good to get a fresh start. So, what do you guys think about hearing that it got delayed till March?
I'm kind of sad, but it's understandable. I know that they have to make delays when they have to make delays, and it happens. So it's kind of sad, and it's kind of sad that they're not going to be in the holiday rush right there initially. But as Ryan mentioned earlier, that's kind of smart because the Wii was a complete disaster when they launched holiday season, and
The Wii U, you're saying?
no, the Wii. I mean, as far as finding one, it took what, like 3 years for them to actually have enough for people during the holiday seasons. So I understand that. It's kind of sad, but definitely understandable that they would move out of that just real thick competition season. Hopefully have something during the holiday season, but then just kind of releasing during that time. And then it just is going to make E3 next year more exciting.
Mm.
Next year, E3 is going to be bomb.
I think that's their main point. Is they want to kind of get out of the way of the holiday season and not have to compete with Microsoft or Sony. They just kind of want their own time frame because when it comes spring, you might have like a game or two from Microsoft or Sony, but when you have your own console launch, like on its own separate time, it's going to be all about you.
Yep.
One thing I'd like to point out is I don't think Nintendo actually saw their production shortages for the Wii U as a problem. I think they're actually kind of happy about it because I remember in a lot of their presentations, and even at E3, it was like on the third year or something, they were kind of proud. They were like, Wii's have been sold out for the last 38 months. You know, they were counting it by months and saying how long people hadn't been able to find a Wii. So
That's
I
true.
I don't think they would be disappointed to be in that situation again. But so let's bring in something Mr. B said in the chat. He said there's nothing wrong with the Wii U. It's always been about the games. So let's define failure right now because I agree that I really love all my Wii U games. And this week on Two Button Crew's channel, we're going to be reviewing Star Fox, and it's going to get a great score because I've been having a lot of fun with it. And yeah, I love all my Wii U games, and to me, it's not a failure. I guess when I said that, I was talking more about financially. And obviously, Nintendo sees that there's something wrong as well because they're basically saying, so long 2016 when it's only April.
Abandoned ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a question from Blake that he sent me on Snapchat that says, is Nintendo abandoning the Wii U? And it does feel like it a bit. Yeah.
I would
I mean,
agree. I would say the Wii U is definitely a financial failure, but as far as games and content and everything, there's some fantastic games. Some of my favorite games even have come out for the Wii U.
Yeah. We'll probably remember it similarly to like the GameCube, right? Where maybe it wasn't the top selling thing, but some of our favorite games were on that.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be talking about them for years and years.
Oh, I still love Double Dash.
Yep. Sunshine.
Custom Robo.
Melee. You haven't played it?
Whoa! Hey, that's okay. That's like the redheaded stepchild of the Mario series.
Yeah,
kind of.
everybody I know though says that Super Mario Sunshine is like a ton of fun, so I really want to get around to playing it, but my GameCube broke at one point, and then when I got my Wii U, I gave my Wii to my sister because she liked Mario Kart Wii and whatnot, and she was going off to college, so I gave that to her, and so now I just don't have a GameCube. But when I get one, I get one. And hopefully
Mhm.
the NX Virtual Console will finally put GameCube games on it. I mean,
That
I
would be
shouldn't get my
nice.
hopes up, but they need to start making that happen.
Seriously.
Hey, so Joshua Andrews bought Paper Mario 2 on our suggestion. He just sent me a Snapchat of it
Oh.
coming in the mail. So he's going to be playing the Thousand Year Door on GameCube.
Oh,
So,
yes. Let me
yep.
know what you think of it. That's one of my favorite games. Yeah. Feel the rock. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. For me, with the NX being delayed until March, I thought this tells me either something's wrong or Nintendo's actually learning. Um, they might be just holding back until they're a little bit better with software. Um, Another thing is March. I think is Nintendo's second favorite launch month. I think November is their first choice, and then we've seen things like the 3DS launch in March. Usually the handhelds do,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
it's usually their second choice. So for me, I made it a goal to save up early for the NX this year, and I've done it. But now that I know I'm 11 months away from buying the NX, I've got a pile of money that I'm tempted to spend. Cause I'm like, maybe I can save up again before then. Maybe I want an Apple Watch or something. At first, actually, my first thought was, well, great. Now I need to buy a PlayStation 4 or something, or else I'm gonna have nothing to play for the rest of the year. But then I remembered my Nintendo backlog, so
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
yep,
I
lots of
have
time
stuff
to
to
keep
catch up
playing.
on too.
But yeah, it definitely does give them time to work up a launch library for the NX
Yeah.
instead of having it rushed out and not have anything. Because if they're going to have Zelda NX already, that's already a fantastic game to have at launch. But then if they are going to do the rumored Smash Bros. Version of NX, just even like the Wii U one on NX, that gives them time to polish that and make that great. We haven't seen an actual like 3D Mario game. I'm not going to include Super Mario 3D World because that's kind of a mesh between the 2D and 3D. But we could definitely see even like a 3D Mario game at launch at this point.
That's a great point because the people that made like Super Mario Galaxy, that studio, they haven't put anything out since Captain Toad Treasure Tracker.
Okay.
So they've actually been quiet for a long time.
Hmm.
They must be
Hmm.
working on something.
And
Uh,
I was gonna say, since they're doing that Animal Crossing app, I could definitely see them doing an Animal Crossing game right at launch for the NX, like a not a spin-off, the next one in the actual franchise, or even a Fire Emblem one at that point, because what else is it going to connect to? They're not going to connect it to the game that came out a year ago.
Right.
so March 2017, we'll hopefully have a strong launch. We could see Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem, Mario, Zelda, Smash Bros. Still no word on Metroid, but we can start getting our hopes up for that again. Because last time we talked about a new Metroid game, it was that statement from the series producer that said, it's basically too late to start making one for Wii U. So
Yeah. And I mean,
we'll
at this
Right.
point too, Federation Force could even be like the hype for another Metroid game,
Yes.
just to kind of get the name back out into the wild, get Metroid back on people's minds, and then all of a sudden, now everybody's disappointed about the spin-off Metroid game, and oh, guess what? Here's the real one,
yeah.
Yay!
and there was
Yep, and a
much
few.
rejoicing.
So we got a question from Blake on Snapchat. Is what are some crucial launch games for the NX? What do you guys want to see? Um, I think I'll probably buy Zelda NX over Zelda Wii U. Probably. It'll probably look nicer, have some extra feature. Um, Although arguably Twilight Princess was better on the GameCube. It wasn't widescreen, but I don't know. I'll have to see more to decide.
Mhm.
And the NX could just be a little portable screen for all we know, so it might be better on Wii U. But as far as NX launch, I think just a main Mario title would be
Yep.
huge.
Mario is the key. That's what they didn't have for the Wii U. That's
It
what
was
they
new.
didn't have for the
It was New
GameCube.
Super Mario Bros. U. But you mean like
Oh
a 3D Mario?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
If
I,
they
I even forgot that that game existed. I haven't even played it yet. Like that's how unhyped that game was. Maybe it was hype and I just missed the hype train, but to me, I was not excited at all for that game.
it was mediocre. That one was the Super Mario U.
I will say I really like the challenge mode in New Super Mario Bros. U,
Mm-hmm.
but it sure sold a lot less. I think Nintendo realized with that game, New Super Mario Bros. Isn't actually a system seller. Maybe it was when it was revolutionary on the DS, but um, the brand doesn't carry that much weight anymore.
Right.
Mhm.
It got cashed in on a few too many times, I think. Especially that one E3 where they announced New Super Mario Bros. U and New Super Mario Bros. 2 at the same time. It's
Yeah.
like,
We have
okay,
two games that are very, very similar coming out.
we're saturated now. So
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, I think crucial game. I mean, a 3D Mario and a new Zelda is huge in itself.
If you had both
Um,
of those day one, that would be ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
yes, and I think one more thing that's probably a no-brainer would be some kind of NX tech demo. Think
Yeah.
like Wii Sports or Nintendo Land. It'll be in that vein of thought where it's something specifically designed um, to be accessible for the whole family at once to show the NX capabilities. So I wouldn't count on more than 3 pieces of software from Nintendo at launch.
Hmm.
They did Wii Sports, Excite Truck, and Twilight Princess for Wii, and I think it was just 2 games for Wii U, Nintendo Land and New Super Mario Bros. U.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't hope for more than 3, but maybe we'll get 4 first-party games because they're launching in March instead of November. We'll see.
But
Mhm.
though after launch, I'm hoping like every 2 or so months they have consistent games for a short while too, because that was the other
Yeah.
problem with the Wii U. After launch, they didn't have anything until Pikmin 3 came out, did they? And that was like
No,
8 months or so down the road. It was a long time before they put out anything else. I
way
remember
too
that.
long.
I think we have a good chance of getting a lot more software on NX if they're actually consolidating home console and platform gaming, which they did this physically with their development studio. They put the handheld developers and the console developers in the same building, which really started all the rumors about Nintendo's next console being a crossover platform. So
Hmm.
if they're not needing to make new software for 2 different systems, we'll get twice as many games on the home console or
Yep.
the next whatever it is.
Right.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Mr. B said a few things in the chat. He said Super Mario Maker was very creative, but I don't have the creative element to create decent levels. That is exactly how I feel about that game. I love
Yeah.
playing other people's levels, but I don't have the creativity or the patience to sit down and make my awesome levels. So
Yep.
then he
I
also says, I hope they ditch the Wiimote and get back to regular controllers. That's also something I hope they do. Even with the like touchscreen thing that it's rumored that they're doing, even, that would be more to a regular controller than what the Wiimotes have been. So I'm
Yeah.
really hoping they go back that route.
and I hope it's just one controller for everybody playing. I
Yeah.
mean, the is it asymmetrical or asymmetrical?
Asymmetrical.
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 Yeah.
Okay, that was kind of the Wii U's gimmick, and it worked well. But think about just how many controllers we have to have lying around for the Wii U. Gamepad, Wii remotes, nunchucks. A lot of people have the Pro controller. We've got the GameCube controller to play Smash Bros. And we've
Classic
got
controller.
classic controller. Um, so
Yeah.
if we could just have one NX controller, that'd be awesome.
Not to
Yes.
mention only being able to have one Wii U gamepad, even though they said they were going to make two playable at one point, they never did that. But I remember I worked at Best Buy right when the Wii U launched, and I had multiple people come in and say, "Hey, can I get another one of those pads for my Wii U?" Nope, you can only get one. It comes with it. Oh, but my other kid wants to play too. Well, then they're going to have to use a Wii remote because only one person can use the gamepad at a time. They were
Yeah.
so confused and like disappointed and didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, totally. So Glenn
That
asked,
was
do you think the NX will have any third-party launch games? Did you want to say something first, Tim?
I was just gonna say that was like Nintendo's whole selling point is this is new. This is something that I mean, obviously asymmetrical gameplay has been uh, in video games before, but that was like their whole thing is everybody plays differently, and
Yeah.
then it was good for one console, and now they can
Yeah.
move past it.
And I'm glad they're going to finally not use the Wii branding because I think that was more
Yes,
of a market confusion, at least here in the States, than anything else.
yeah.
So how do you think they're doing with third parties these days? I have some hope for that because I think that's why we've been getting so many leaks about the NX
Yep.
is that they're actually talking to third parties a lot. Um, and even just now, they've got almost a year to make a game for it.
Right.
So, and that's not even counting how long some third-party developers have known about it. So,
Yep.
the delay for NX even helps that.
Especially
Um,
when since they've said they've sent out dev kits and whatnot to different companies and all that good stuff.
yeah.
It's gonna be more than just Zombie U. That's a third-party game that supports the system.
And then that didn't sell well, so then well the Ubisoft made that one and they made the Rayman. Both of them were
Yes.
exclusive to the Wii U, and now both of them are not exclusive to the Wii U because they didn't sell on the Wii U, so they made them
Yep.
for the other consoles to get money back.
Okay, is it still called Zombie U though?
No, it's just called Zombie. They dropped the U.
Okay.
Yeah, Zombie U for Xbox.
Zombie X.
Zombix. Zombix, I think that's a workout routine my wife does. What do you think of
You just go like this. Uh,
what do
Just
you
do the
think
thriller
about
games.
what how can a console come out without ever being seen at E3 though? That to me is crazy.
I think it is to avoid them being like they just don't want to have the problem where for some reason like Microsoft or Sony comes out on top of them. They just want to do their own separate thing with it and have all the time to themselves, and that way they can get all the press in and have it in like their own secluded area and give the press the best experience possible with the NX.
But I have a question. So I know that Zelda Wii U on the Wii U is going to be the only one playable, but have they confirmed that they're not going to show the NX at all?
Yes.
They can you bring up a good point though. So they said we're not going to be showing the NX at all at E3. It'll have its own unveiling later. They said the only playable game is going to be Zelda Wii U, but they didn't say that you won't see Zelda NX running, and they didn't say that they won't show other games running that aren't playable.
We just won't see the physical console itself.
Yeah,
So really, in like they could do like a quick highlight reel at the end of their E3 presentation and have just show off like quick snippets of games for the NX or whatnot. But
they could.
probably won't because if they're gonna do an NX launch event, I'm assuming that's when they're gonna show off most of their stuff.
True.
Yeah, and then Glenn also had a good point. Nintendo used to have their own show called Space World where they showed off the N64. And it was a different time, but they do kind of have their own thing now. Like even during E3, they just do a stream. So if they want to do a stream 2 months later, it's not really all that different. They just have less noise to compete with like you've been saying, right?
Yep.
So, all right.
I could see them going back to that. It seems like lately they've been going back to the way they used to do things, especially with like the Nintendo World Championship and all of that stuff, like bringing it back. They're just like, you know what? If it worked in the past, why fix it? Just go back to the way we used to do things.
So what are we going to be playing for the rest of the year? For Wii U, all I can think of is Paper Mario Color Splash. As far as new stuff I'm talking about right now, we all have our backlogs. Um,
They have the Shin Megami Tensei Fire Emblem game coming out in June.
Oh yeah.
hashtag FE. And that's such a cheap way to get hashtags
No,
trending about your game.
it's sharp FE is how it's pronounced because it's like a musical based, like it's all supposed to be like a concert sort of thing. So it's supposed to be the musical interpretation
Okay,
of it.
I understand, but tell me that their marketing department isn't excited to have a trending
Hashtag
hashtag.
FE.
Hashtag FE.
Hashtag sharp FE. Oh my goodness. Well, and then for 3DS, we have Federation Force, and then Pokemon. Pokemon's actually
Pretty
huge,
big.
so we'll have Sun and Moon. Um,
Oh, wow.
if we didn't have Pokemon coming, I might be saying that the 3DS is dying right along with the Wii U.
They did just say that they're going to show off more 3DS games at E3 though.
Did they?
Yeah,
Okay. And I wonder what they mean by showing off. Obviously not playable, right?
right. But they
Hmm.
said, well, they said they were going to announce new 3DS titles at E3.
I wonder if the public is going to get to play anything during E3 time. Because their statements about what'll be playable, they've said that what's going to be playable on the show floor. But for the last couple of years, they've been bringing things to Best Buys.
That's fine, yeah.
Now, for me and Simeon, the closest Best Buy that they bring stuff to is about 4 hours away at Seattle.
Yikes.
Might as
So,
well go to Nintendo of America because it's right there.
Ryan, do you have a Best Buy that's local enough for you that Nintendo does stuff with?
Yep, it's like 20 minutes away.
So, did you like last year? Did you play the E3 stuff?
I did not play it last year, but the year before I did.
Okay, awesome.
Last year, I forget. I think I was doing something. I think I was away, like camping or something like that. But
Yeah. Well, I could see them bringing the Zelda demo to Best Buys, or they might even have like Prime Federation Force at Best Buys and the other stuff that's not playable on
true.
the show floor.
Mhm.
So that'll be interesting to see. We really have no idea what Nintendo's doing for E3. They could still be renting out the Nokia theater and doing some kind of event there, like a competition like they have the last couple of years. So
I think it'd be in their best interest to do something like the another world championship because that had so much attention and it was so great last year. Like the entire thing was like amazing to watch from start to finish. Just the variety of games that they had and all like the hype and it was a ton of fun.
did you know that John Numbers has gone on to be the best Wii Fit player in Smash Bros?
Really?
Yeah.
I knew that he was a Smash Brothers player either right after or shortly after the uh, the championships, and I knew he was no slouch. But and also I know that there's hardly any Wii Fit trainers out, so it doesn't really surprise me. He's one skilled dude. It wasn't like he got it all lined up to where everybody else eliminated each other and he snuck in on the last game and just happened to win. He is like one skilled gamer and he definitely deserved that win.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I think we've hit all our topics, so if there's any last questions in the chat, now would be the time to post them before we wrap up. Ryan and Simeon, any last thoughts or things we haven't quite touched on yet?
Not really. I'm just very excited to see what Nintendo is going to bring to the table, and I'm very interested to see what they're actually going to like show at E3 or for their direct at least their E3
Mhm.
direct.
I just wanted to say that I'm a little bit disappointed that Zelda Wii U is the only thing that they're going to be showing,
Yep.
at least playable. I don't know, it's just really sad because every year I look forward to E3, and this year I'm just not looking forward to it because I know that Sony and Microsoft, first of all, I don't follow their stuff super closely, but I know that both of their conferences are probably going to be centered around virtual reality. And so there's not really much there for me to like really tune in or get excited for because I'm not really a fan of either console, at least like dedicated. And so I look forward to Nintendo every year. And every year I'm like, they're gonna do something good this year. They're gonna do something good this year. And last year the World Championships were awesome, but I don't know. It's just disappointing. They need to do, if anybody's gonna do a good live show and have a good shot at a good live show, it's Nintendo. Because Sony can sometimes hit it out of the park and sometimes they drop it, and Microsoft is probably going to drop it. And the direct last year just was not that exciting. It was like, oh, like there was some cool stuff kind of in there, but most of the stuff I either already knew about or just isn't that exciting. So
A lot of it was a rerun of E3 2014 with some more details, on
Yep.
Mario and stuff like that.
Well, it was Reggie coming up and saying, "So the NX isn't here, but we do have these Skylanders."
yeah.
I wanted to do a prank call about the Skylanders. I don't remember what it was exactly. So, Simeon, we're going to do more prank calls, right?
Yes.
Yes, we're gonna film one today.
Yes, those are hilarious. I love those.
Sweet.
I'm super excited about this one. This one's gonna be really good.
I'm glad you guys can do prank calls because if I try and do them, I just laugh the entire time.
That's my fear. That is really my fear because if there's any situation that requires me not to laugh, I am the first person that's going to laugh. So it can be difficult, but I believe in you, Ryan. I believe in you.
Well, I think one thing's for sure, we're not set up to be disappointed by Nintendo's E3 this year
True.
because they have managed their expectations far in advance. The only thing they could do is make Zelda Wii U bad. So if that happens, I won't blame anybody for stop being a Nintendo fan. But if they do anything above what they've set us up to expect at all, we will be pleasantly surprised, and that's a good thing. So
Which, yeah,
Yes.
it's very smart of them instead of just to let people down at E3 to let people down now, and then that way they can be like, yeah, at E3.
yes,
Because
exactly.
if they would have lowered people's expectations last year before that one, people might have thought it was a great E3.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in to the first ever TBC Direct. I hope you'll look forward to more in the future. Please tune in this week to Two Button Crew's shows. We've wrapped up Pokken Week, and we're going to be getting back into our Chariot Let's Play, doing a prank call like Simeon said. There's a couple of sneak peeks for you. Let's see, maybe I'll give one more spoiler. Well, I also talked about we're going to be reviewing Star Fox Zero. And Simeon, you've been playing Star Fox Guard, right? We'll talk about
Have.
that. So it's going to be an awesome week. Please subscribe to Two Button Crew for your daily Nintendos of fandom. Thank you, Simeon.
Thank you, Scott.
Ryan.
Thank you. And don't forget, I'll be streaming Pokken Tournament tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific.
That's right. Pokken Week is not quite finished.
One more.
That's
One
right.
more.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of the crew, everybody. And we'll see you next time.
Signing out.
See you later.